government class. In today's government class, we'll be looking at the Lagos Conference of 1954. The Lagos Conference of 1954. The Lagos Conference was held in Lagos on the 19th of January 1954 by the same constitutional review team that went to London in 1953. So it was the same delegates that were sent to London that held this conference in Lagos on the 19th of January 1954. It was organized to attend to certain unresolved matters that arose during the 1953 Constitutional Conference in London. So the Lagos Conference was organized in order to attend to some unresolved issues or unresolved matters that arose during the 1953 Constitutional Conference in London. And it was also to give reports of Sir Louis Chick's Fiscal Commission, which was published in December 1953. At the end of the Lagos Conference of 1954, the following decisions were reached. The acceptance of the Fiscal Commission based on the allocation of countries' resources between the central government and the federating unit or region on the principle of derivation. What is the principle of derivation? It is one of the methods that are used in allocating resources. It's one of the methods that are used in allocating resources to a country. In a country is one of the methods that are used in allocating resources in a country. So derivation means that the states that have some natural resources, for example, crude oil, will get special allocation. It implies that the larger proportion of the allocation has to be given to states or regions where those resources are obtained. So, for example, in Niger Delta, they will get lots of allocation based on if they are using the principle of derivation to allocate resources in the country. So that was one of the decisions that were reached in the 1954 Lagos Conference. That was one of the decisions that were reached in the 1954 Lagos Conference. The acceptance of the Fiscal Commission of Sir Louis Chick based on the allocation of country resources between the central government and the federating or units or regions on the principle of derivation. The decision to regionalize the public service based on the principle of federalism was also taken. So, the decision to regionalize the public service was based on the principle of federalism was also taken. So they decided to regionalize the public service. So every region would have their own public service, and then the federal government on its own would have its public service. So the decision to regionalize the public service based on the principle of federalism was taken at the Lagos Conference of 1954. It was also concluded that the judiciary should be regionalized, that each region should have a judiciary arm of government of its own. That was also one of the decisions that were reached at the Lagos Conference of 1954, that every region should have their own judiciary arm of government. The acceptance of the report to grant autonomy to the Southern Cameroon was also reached. So they accepted the report of the Southern Cameroon to be granted autonomy. This was also one of the decisions that were reached at Lagos Conference of 1954. They decided to grant autonomy to the Southern Cameroons. Still under the Lagos Conference of 1954, it was also accepted that the Southern Cameroon should remain part of Nigeria's federalism, but as a quasi-federal territory with legislature of its own. So, under one of the decisions that were also reached at Lagos Conference of 1954 was that Southern Cameroon would remain a part of Nigeria's federalism, but it would be like it's a country of its own. It's operating is a country of its own, but it's not a country of its own. Like quasi means something that it resembles something that is real, but it's not real. And the Southern Cameroon also had the legislature of their own. Southern Cameroon was administered with Nigeria together in the pre-independence time. They were administered with Nigeria together as a whole. And with this, we've come to the end of the class. In the course of this class, we looked at the Lagos Conference of 1954 and some of the decisions that were reached at the Lagos Conference of 1954 and reasons that necessitated the Lagos Conference of 1954. And with this, we've come to the end of the class, and I'll see you at the next class.